So you've got the two most important players in league negotiations, talking as if it's a guarantee that that it happens. They're talking as if it's a guarantee, and that's one of those things that I don't think people really are like taking into account, is that it really does matter when you've got these players talking like it's completely guaranteed.
Caitlin Clark recently posted something online that instantly sparked conversation about the WNBA's ongoing labor talks. She's speaking as if the 2026 season is absolutely locked in. No hesitation, no uncertainty, just full assurance that basketball will be played. At the same time, the players' union is discussing potential strikes, and fans are starting to grow uneasy. Yet neither Caitlin nor Angel Reese seems the least bit concerned. That raises eyebrows and makes you wonder what might be happening out of public view. So here's something to think about before we dive deeper. Does Caitlin Clark have inside insight into these CBA negotiations that the public doesn't? Or is this simply her staying positive? Share your opinion in the comments, because the timing of all this feels far from random.
So we saw this post, obviously somebody's dog, I don't know exactly who this is, to be honest, they said their dog was named CC after Caitlin Clark. Caitlin's response: both are welcome courtside this year.
Caitlin Clark recently replied to a fan on social media who had shared a photo of their dog, named Cece, in her honor. At first, it felt like a sweet and completely normal fan moment. But Caitlin's response was what caught everyone's attention. She told them both they're welcome to sit courtside this year. This year, not if the season happens, not hopefully next year. She spoke as though it's already confirmed that games will be played, seats will be filled, and fans will be in attendance. For someone who typically measures her public comments carefully, that level of certainty is significant. And she isn't the only one taking that tone. Angel Reese also discussed her main goals this week, and she clearly talked about making the playoffs. There was no hesitation or conditional language about whether a season will even take place. She spoke about post-season ambitions as if the 2026 WNBA season is already guaranteed.
It is one of those things where you've got Caitlin Clark saying this, and obviously Angel Reese during the week was talking about her biggest goals, and she was talking about playing in the playoffs. So you've got the two most important players in league negotiations, talking as if it's a guarantee that that it happens. They're talking as if it's a guarantee, and that's one of those things that I don't think people really are like taking into account, is that it really does matter when you've got these players talking like it's completely guaranteed.
Right now, these two are the league's biggest stars. Not the key figures sitting at the bargaining table, but the players who truly power the WNBA's business side. Caitlin Clark has become the league's centerpiece, whether everyone is willing to acknowledge it or not. Angel Reese isn't far behind, especially when it comes to drawing attention and connecting with fans. And both of them are speaking as if the upcoming season is already locked in. That's more significant than many people think. When the athletes who generate the most revenue and attract the largest audiences show zero doubt about games being played, it sends a message. It suggests that the situation behind closed doors may be far more settled than the public tension makes it seem.
Like the season's happening, not like will there be a season, which you would hear obviously from the players on the committee. You've got the players who I believe are the most important people for this league talking about it as if it's happening. And that for me is important. You're being like, Caitlin believes CBA agreed upon. I do too. I believe there's going to be a season next year.
Let's talk honestly about how the leverage really works here. The central figure in these CBA discussions isn't necessarily someone sitting on the Players Association committee. It's Caitlin Clark. Right behind her is Angel Reese. Then comes Sabrina Ionescu, followed by Aya Wilson. And even Paige Buchers, who hasn't played a single WNBA game yet, is already being promoted like a future franchise cornerstone. These are the names corporations have poured millions into. These are the athletes global brands like Nike and Reebok have structured major campaigns around. And Nike, in particular, holds a substantial financial connection to the WNBA itself. They have a vested interest in making sure the league not only survives, but grows. So when Caitlin Clark casually references courtside seats for the coming season, That likely isn't just an offhand remark. It sounds more like someone who understands that an agreement is likely on the horizon, because the financial stakes are simply too high for a collapse. Yes, the Players Association voted 97% to authorize a strike if negotiations fail, and headlines quickly framed that as players being ready to shut everything down. But that interpretation doesn't fully capture what that vote actually represents.
Like if the WNBPA, like if the PA calls a strike and people are like, oh, 97% of the players like voted or voted for a strike. No, they didn't. 97% of the players basically said they trust the CBA. They trust the CBA. Or say not trust CBA, they trust the PA. That if that they're okay to strike if nothing happens. That they're okay with the strike as a last resort. And if nothing else, that vote is just in solidarity. Like, the reality is that even if it was 60%, it would make absolutely no difference. But the players also know that if half the league, if it ended up being 60% voting, that the league would just, the PA would have to just cave and accept the deal. And at the end of the day, the players are still likely going to get more money.
That 97% approval doesn't mean nearly every player is eager to shut the league down. It means they have confidence in their union to represent them and are prepared to back a strike only if it becomes absolutely unavoidable. It's a show of unity, a strategic tool in negotiations, not a direct vote demanding a work stoppage. Even if the approval had been closer to 60%, the union's negotiating approach likely wouldn't change, but that lower number would signal cracks and give the league room to push for a cheaper deal. Presenting a united front is simply smart strategy. The possibility of a strike has to be on the table to secure meaningful gains. Without it, owners could settle for minimal increases knowing players lack leverage. Still, having that option available doesn't automatically mean it will be used. Reports suggest the new CBA could bring salary increases in the range of 600 to 700%, which would be transformational for many players across the league. It's hard to imagine athletes turning down that kind of financial leap over minor sticking points, especially at a time when the WNBA is finally generating serious revenue and broader mainstream visibility. Demonstrating solidarity during negotiations is essential, but that doesn't necessarily translate into an actual shutdown. Once a proposal featuring substantial salary increases is formally presented, practicality starts to take over. And the practical truth is that even players who aren't named Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese are on track to earn more than at any other point in their careers. That's why when Caitlin and Angel speak as though the season is a certainty, it likely reflects the broader understanding that canceling a season would hurt everyone involved. Players would forfeit income, owners would absorb losses, sponsors would miss returns, and the powerful surge of momentum built over the last year would vanish. That surge isn't exaggerated. The 2025 WNBA season delivered the highest viewership in league history, broke attendance records, saw merchandise numbers skyrocket, and attracted major corporate partners who had previously shown little interest. Losing a 2026 season would stall all of that progress. Nike, in particular, has made a significant commitment to Caitlin Clark, and while there are only unverified online rumors suggesting a potential Super Bowl commercial to unveil her signature shoe, even the possibility points to serious confidence. The Super Bowl is the premier advertising platform in American sports, and a company wouldn't even contemplate that kind of investment if there were real doubts about the league operating next season. They would move forward because they expect it to. The Super Bowl takes place in early February. Team USA's Olympic qualifying games happen in March. Paige Buchers is likely drafted in April, and the WNBA season kicks off in May. That's a carefully timed marketing sequence designed to build anticipation for what could be the league's biggest season yet. Do you really think Nike would pour millions into a Super Bowl spot for a player who might not have games to play? Or design an entire campaign around the WNBA only to shrug if the season doesn't happen? Absolutely not. Major sponsors don't commit this kind of money without strong assurances. The fact that these marketing plans are moving ahead indicates that those with real financial stakes in the league aren't worried about the CBA talks collapsing. The panic over a possible strike is largely media-driven hysteria. Sports outlets thrive on labor drama. It generates clicks, debates, and talking points during the off-season. But the actual stakeholders, the players who drive viewership, the sponsors who fund the league, the owners who profit, are all behaving as though a deal is imminent. And realistically, the Players Association would be unwise to strike now. This is the strongest negotiating position they've ever held. The league's popularity is higher than ever, and revenue is climbing. National TV deals are growing, making this the moment to push for higher salaries and better conditions, but also the moment to finalize a deal and lock in those gains. If the players were to strike and the 2026 season got canceled, all that momentum disappears. Casual fans who just started watching would move on, sponsors would redirect their budgets, and years of progress could vanish. Everyone involved, the Players Association, the league, the sponsors, understands this, which is why Caitlin Clark can casually invite a dog named CC courtside without anyone in the front office panicking about her making promises the league might not be able to keep. It's also worth touching on the unrivaled league situation, as it's relevant. Unrivaled is the new 3-on-3 league running during the WNBA offseason, and some players hold contracts with them. So far, viewership has been modest, averaging around 30,000 viewers per game unless Paige Buchers is playing. And even then, the numbers aren't massive. Natasha Cloud recently suggested they could run Unrivaled year-round and might not even need the WNBA, but the current stats show it's not a comparable draw yet. That remark grabbed attention, but it's completely unrealistic. Unrivaled exists because the WNBA exists. It's supplemental income during the off-season, not a substitute for the main league. The fact that some players are even entertaining the idea of alternatives shows how little real leverage they believe they have. If the WNBA were truly at risk, players wouldn't be casually proposing side options. They'd be scrambling to protect their primary source of income and visibility. Instead, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are speaking about the upcoming season as if it's a certainty. Nike appears to be planning Super Bowl promotions. Team USA camp is on the calendar. All of this is happening while negotiations are supposedly at a critical stage. That's not what you see when a deal is actually in jeopardy. True labor crises involve last-minute emergency meetings and public warnings about gaps between the sides. The lack of concern from those who really matter is telling. Caitlin isn't worried. Angel isn't worried. Nike isn't worried. And the players who could chase big money overseas or in other leagues aren't acting as if a WNBA shutdown is even plausible.